Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to check out how Bricky dropped back into Helldivers 2 with Helldivers 2 is an amazing live service when it wants to be. Yeah, I've heard there has been issues with the game lately, and well, normally I think anything about Helldivers is pretty awesome because the game looks so freaking cool. I'm a little worried about that title, so let's find out how I'm very much wrong and nothing is going to happen to make me go, oh god damn it.
The summer is on its way, and it's now time to do all of the wonderful things we love to do during the summer.
Stay inside and pretend there is no outside to exist, because if you don't go out there, it can't hurt you. As you could probably assume, I live inside and it stays that way.
Outside, touch grass,
no,
and everything that
I
doesn't
refuse.
involve taking way too much time to cook a bunch of meals for your events. And Factor can help you out.
I actually heard about
that.
this thing.
Our sponsor Factor has incredible meals and is the
it does
best
look good,
meal
but
service I
pretty
have
expensive,
ever used. The flavors are great. All the nutrition
Goddamn,
facts are
good.
laid out, easy to
Only
see,
40?
and they
Well,
have
that's a
tons
lot,
of choices to fit your goals this summer. It is everything from breakfast to dessert.
What
low
are
cal,
those?
bulking, protein, keto, it doesn't matter. It's there for you. They also have a ton of other wonderful options.
Technically, if they had a beer-only option, that would be vegan.
Like protein shakes, juices, wellness shots.
Was that a metal straw? I'm not gonna look because those freak me out.
Do more of the things you love and less of that you don't. And so Factor can help you out with that, with its excellent meals and time-saving strategies.
I just ate. I'm not hungry. God damn you, Bricky. Why are you making me hungry again, you son of a...
So go on and head to
This shouldn't be
factor75.com.
effective. Why is this effective? Damn, it's just a freaking ad read!
To get 50% off your first Factor box
Actually
and
look good.
20% off your next month of orders. That's code
I wonder if you can just keep
Bricky50
buying it
at
one at a time or if you buy
factor75.com
multiple months
to
at
get
once.
50% off your first box.
Might actually be
plus
worth it if you're like,
20% off your
I
next
need food this
of
month.
orders.
Let's buy it
Thank you so
here.
much for sponsoring this video,
If they
and let's
freeze
get
well, it might be
on
worth
with the
it at that
content.
Helldivers 2 could be the Arrowhead. Helldivers. Oh, it's this bullshit. Didn't they fix it? Oh no, wait.
Let me tell you, there's nothing that really
kept going down
warms
it.
my heart than completing an entire video script and then only finding out that the company has shot themselves in the foot basically during the entire editing process.
May 6th, Helldivers Steam. Okay, I heard about this. So this just came out a month. This probably came out right when the bullshit with Sony was happening, but I thought it got better. It got better, right? There's a happy ending to this.
Yes. We spend genuine weeks creating
something
a video
else happen?
discussing why Helldivers has
Why
done
did
what so many
fucking
games
Sony
haven't done before, utilizing their live service
trying to out
and
Bethesda
how
Bethesda.
it is so much better than the rest, and then I immediately age like milk. For the uninitiated, it would appear that PlayStation Network is requiring you to sign into Helldivers going forward in order to play the game, even if you do not have a PlayStation. If you are on Steam,
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way to delete my PlayStation account.
you require a PSN
I just don't
account.
like
Now,
letting them
a
have the information with how many times they've been
large majority of
hacked.
this video will be said before all of this kind of stuff,
Ooh.
and unfortunately will definitely feel
Giant freaking
perhaps
lizards.
mildly dated when it comes to the situation, but I do think that the discussion on
It
the
still looks
live
good,
service
damn it.
aspects of the game are not generally affected by this change from Sony. What Helldivers does well in terms of how it does content has nothing to do with this PSN thing, even if it is, and I use this scientifically, a bit shit. However, this
Yeah.
is too important a discussion that we can
Yeah, it was the FAQ where they required it.
not simply ignore it. We will come back to this
Wait, what?
later on in the
What?
video.
Oh, that wasn't even what he was focusing on? That was just the part he was adding in as a note? What was he actually going to focus? Oh, no.
Hello again. Let me clarify the situation in a little more detail regarding
Escape
owners
from
of the
Tarkov?
EOD version and access to the cooperative mode and also other issues. First,
Okay, I actually heard about the Tarkov one. From what I heard, it was bad, it was horrible, no one liked it, and a lot of people still paid for it, so they bought a bitching game, and then they didn't get it, and they were told to pay more money for the thing they thought they were already going to get. I have no idea if bitching is the right way to describe Escape from Tarkov. I've never played it, because I heard it requires skill, which I never have.
first of all, PvE game mode. This is not DLC. DLC, in our understanding,
Oh.
is the major additions to the game.
What do they think they are?
including various
Overwatch?
functionality and content that are released after the official release of the game as themed DLC pack. We observe your dissatisfaction and have decided that the functionality of the PvE mode will be available for free to all owners of the EOD version of the release of the game.
Nah, bro. All subsequent DLCs clearly mean after the 7-year beta is released. /S, in case it wasn't clear. I have no idea what /S means. It's probably internet lingo that all the cool kids would know, which explains why I don't. Guys, not a DLC.
Now you have the opportunity
joke.
to test this mode by purchasing the unheard edition of the game.
Yep, yeah, that's the part I heard because they were charging. This is Bricky just shitting on live services that are fucking themselves up, aren't they? Oh, this is going to be a rage episode. Unheard because half minimum wage country and wait. The unheard edition costs half of a minimum wage in my country, Chile, while counting taxes. God damn.
This is it for now. Please share your thoughts. Thank you.
Oh, I think we know the thoughts. Refund edition. Although I'm pretty sure I heard that even though it was absolute shit and that reaction was completely justified, it did well, and a lot of people still bought it because they're addicts. Let someone correct me. Let me rephrase that. You're more than welcome to lie to me about that. I will accept it. I don't like reality as it is. Please tell me a lie about it, because that would be nicer.
Helldivers 2 had all the signs of being just a quick flash in the pan and then fading into relative success.
Okay, I don't usually comment on merch, but bricked up. I get it. His name's Bricky, but also, he knows, right? Okay, we're just going to move on.
Yes, but not astronomical player counts. It's very rare that any game can hit over 400,000 concurrent players and maintain
on
that
release,
for
even
all
not
the
pre-release.
normal reasons like players wanting to move on to something else. I would
Yeah.
have been completely fine with Helldivers getting its massive success and then going down to a concurrent of around 40,000 zing and maintaining.
That's why he put that part at the beginning, to show us that idea of like, Helldivers is doing great. To just let us know that, yeah, no, I know. Sony fucked it up.
A solid
Fucking
community.
Sony.
But now, right now, the game still has maintained a 24-hour peak on Steam of just under 200,000 players, which is absolutely phenomenal for the title. A lot of buzz has been thrown around discussing how the game does its live service aspect, and I myself have wanted to just, throw my hat into the ring, as I have been somewhat vocal on my annoyance for corporate video game greed, but
I have no idea why he would think that. I mean, can you imagine a greedy corporation trying to get more money out of people who they've already bled dry? I mean, it's not like the beginning of this video was literally an example of that happening right after you said it and proving your point and that all your paranoia about corporations is accurate. I mean, can you imagine that? It's a good thing that definitely didn't happen. Don't mind me. I'm just going to block everything from my memory because it's so much nicer that way.
Also understanding the sheer cost it takes to make these products. For
But,
a game like Helldivers to succeed, it has to be more than just a good game. That might seem like a strange thing to gloss over, as being a good game is the most fundamental part of any kind of game success, even if
I mean, there's more than a few companies who would very much disagree about that. And I hate that that's not a joke.
the Dead by Daylight players might take issue with that. But to interrogate this
what did that
point
say?
further,
Your game what? Also, I don't think I've ever played Dead by Daylight. Your game sucks ass. Lumfao? Cry about it. LMFAO? Laughing my fucking ass. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I meant.
But to interrogate this point further, we need to discuss what making a video game is like in 2024. Now, I
actually have
am
no idea
an
about that.
online
Simple Warhammer lore explanation. Simple. Good thing you put it in quotes. Here's the thing. I know a bit about the funding aspect just because it's actually really similar around. I was going to say a lot of industries, but no, I don't think I was about to misspeak there. I think a lot of the funding is very simple. You get enough hype that the person funding you believes that they're going to make a good return on investment, and then they throw money at you because they're not actually caring about what you do, just that there's a good return. There's probably someone out there going like, well, what about no, there's nothing else. There's so many people who, for everyone who is investing, that's the extent of it. If that sounds stupid, there's not a lot of smart investors.
Video game reviewer slash discussion flesh brick man. I do not know the deep inner workings of game development from a technical sense, but from a financial sense, there's a lot I've learned over my years.
It was all the same thing, but they all look amazing.
3 whole caramel apples is not enough to reach the difference, and if I were to buy a 4th caramel apple, it would basically equivalent the costs, or be equivalent of the cost of the apple. Now, in general,
what? Oh, he's working on the principle that this is actually bugging me that I didn't get what he was talking about at first, because in hindsight, it's kind of obvious. It's setting up a discount that really only makes sense if you buy more than you meant to, therefore giving them more money than you meant to. So even though they're taking a loss, they're actually gaining, because even if it's not fully there, they're selling out more of the profit, so less stock they have to maintain, especially when it comes to perishables. But that's not the important part.
In order to make a game that is profitable, there are a lot of factors that need to come into play at one time. Right now, there's an interesting lull in the video game space between all the
indie, AA, AAA. That's the weird part right now. I think indie and AA have kind of managed to merge at this point. A lot of the indie studios that are actually really successful, they have like 12 to maybe a couple dozen employees at this point. So they're not small. And I think that's what not AAA, but AA used to be considered, at least in terms of game company size. Not entirely sure I like that as a definition for these breakdowns, but it's one of them.
Various types of ratings. Right now, the AAA space is looking to sort of just implode on itself.
I hate how EA, and I can't believe I'm saying this, technically counts as a good AAA game maker with the Star Wars Jedi games. I'm sure they'll fuck it up because it's EA, but even with their issues aside on the second one, it's still really damn good compared to everything else. And when I could start bringing up gacha games as a very good example of a better game, why is this video depressing me?
There's a general metric for determining costs of game development. Normally, you think about $100,000 a year per person. This is very...
Okay, one? Damn! Is what I would say, except I've heard about what a team of like 12 people cost to make an anime, and that is a different process, but still heavily creative. It's like a couple $1 million for... It's just... No. This should be a lot. But that's not payment to the person, it's payment for time.
Very generalist and not perfect at all. But say you have a AA game studio of about 30 people. That's $3 million a year in salary alone. You know, a few people slightly under 100K, decent amount over, depending on how good your talent is. And
I'm hesitant to say what I'm about to say because a lot of it's based on some very predatory examples, but saying 100K is the average salary is, there's probably more than a few people who don't count for that. Mostly the people I'm thinking are bug testers and the back-end work who make the game actually playable. I've heard a few horror stories about exactly what their pay was, and, voice actors, back-end testers, bug testers, play testers, sometimes do the same thing. And I don't mean just play and bug testers, I mean a voice actor as well. Just, yeah.
How greedy your higher-ups are. Say your game takes 5 years.
Okay, that's not fair. Bobby Kotick is... I retract my statement. Never mind. I hate this reality.
To make. Therefore, that's $15 million. Probably add another $1 million to be safe for equipment, office rent, other expenses. We haven't even talked about taxes yet. Again, huge assumption, but
I mean, if you reinvest a lot of it, it's not actually that bad. That would imply you reinvested a lot of it, though.
A 30-person dev team isn't particularly big. This relates to the AAA game industry because
Holy shit, that's how big CD Projekt Red is? Damn.
the size of the team.
Wait, this is Witcher. Oh, this is old.
Bloated. Blizzard Entertainment recently canned their survival game that was rumored to have over 200 people on it. And that game didn't even come out. Larian Studios, makers of Baldur's Gate 3, have over 450 employees in total. The idea that charitably, it costs $45 million a year to operate Larian in...
Yeah, that does scale up. Unless they had some kind of residual payment to offset lower wages, that might actually turn out well, but then that would heavily incentivize joining at the last minute. So I guess that would be an alternate pay structure that I don't want to deal with.
General is kind of jaw-dropping and still probably undershooting it. Baldur's Gate 3 is of course an exception, as it was the largest game of the year and considered one of the best games of the decade. But while some AAA studios can get away with this, From Software for example, due to the extremely cheap cost of Japanese labor in the game,
when compared to American labor, also I don't think FromSoft is a black company, and if you need a description of what that means, assume working at the absolute most memetically cursed business Bobby Kotick could possibly run, and that's more or less the average black company in Japan. Just add in also a lot of cultural zeitgeist to not actually want to acknowledge that.
Gaming industry, for the most part, it looks like this style of game making has reached a critical mass. On the other side of the fence, you have the single A space, being the indie developers, solo devs, and teams generally under 10 people. These are a lot closer to passion projects, and
oh yeah, I keep hearing that this game is actually really good, but weird.
While there's a very difficult uphill climb coming, the reward can be magnitudes higher than the risk. You know, on one hand, if a random single dev spends 5 years of their life making a video game as a hobby and it ships and nobody buys it, well, you know, it was kind of in their own time, it's whatever, they knew the risk, and at the end of the day, they made themselves a video game that you can say you bought on Steam. But then sometimes, random single dev person makes Lethal Company, which is a lovely thing to look at and show the strength of small developers, but that also might make you assume that these are the parts of the plane we need to reinforce. Then,
not to mention all the scam companies that intentionally create games to siphon off money but talk it up. I think he actually covered one of these games, or it was him or someone else. There's an entire brand of game that is permanently in beta, other than Fortnite, on Steam that is just investment bait, essentially. Like, it gets all the pre-orders out there and delivers a broken game before saying, oh no, this is nothing, I can move on. Maybe it was CoffeeZilla. No, it seems like a video he did, but I don't think it was him. I can't remember it, honestly. It's probably because I blocked it from my memory.
Then we have the AA industry, which many people are championing as the next major wave in gaming. Middle ground video games. Games with teams of around 30 to 100, give or take, that don't blow $100 million on a marketing budget and aren't working with IPs being traded around by mega corporations like a cheap whore. The rise of this has been relatively...
Oh, that's not fair. I think a cheap whore would get more respect.
Apparent as of recently. More and more games look to be utilizing such smaller budgets and squeezing out much higher quality products. The issue came down to how you are going to monetize these games. For many of them, it's a simple $20 to $40 price tag and then you let it be. But for some, especially without the marketing budget to really pull huge numbers, they want to have a longer, more sustainable income stream, and that includes things like microtransactions, cash shops, and so forth. The problem is that
considering he's bringing up this, I actually wonder if he will talk about the more gacha-based gaming industry, which is what inspired EA to look at what they're doing and go, oh, shit, we're doing it wrong. Did that actually happen? I would be very surprised if there's not someone who actually said exactly that and then pushed for something even dumber.
You still need people working on stuff in order to maintain those cash shops, and the ability for microtransactions to work is directly tied to how big your game is. While it is true that some games can survive for a good period of time off the back of just a couple big whales, for the most part, microtransactions might just barely pay for those making the content for the microtransactions.
I wonder if an easy way around that would just be an approval team to nominate the best things that are maybe community made. That sounds incredibly predatory, though.
This is very much the case in the AA industry, and it's not something that needs to be worried about in the AAA industry or the incredibly prestigious quadruple A industry. Apex Legends.
Yeah, I mean, the quadruple A industry is all the games that decide to just burn themselves alive. Kotick.
Despite being a free game, still finds a way to charge the cost of a small car every time they come out with an update.
When were you able to find a car that only cost $360? I was looking for one of these, and honestly, that was at least a 2-0 sometimes. If it was only a single zero, I still would have considered it a steal.
Update, but Apex Legends is a massive game filled with whales, so it works.
Oh?
I can bitch and moan as much as I want about how horrendous the Call of Duty shop is, but it's there because it works. However, we hate all these games. Maybe not literally, but goddamn, do we hate how they run their live services. It feels like we're nothing but just wallets
Nicki
to be
Minaj?
opened. So I know it took me a very long
That's real.
services. It feels like we're
Oh, okay. Sure. This is a thing.
nothing but just wallets to be opened. So I know it took me a very long time to get to this point, the point of why does Helldivers 2, despite having all of those same qualities and even breaking a major amount of live service conventions, feel like
Which
it's
conventions
such a
in particular?
good live service game, arguably one of the best ones on the market, and does the whole thing so right. Why does this AA, bordering on AAA from a team size perspective, why does this game pull off what everyone else couldn't in the eyes of the players? Let's get the obvious part out of the way. The game is good. The game is very good.
I didn't put shit.
Shot by
Shoot
teammate.
him. I could use some.
Do you have a plan for this?
Bleeding out.
The bug-
Dead.
What the fuck just happened to you?
Did you know you can bleed
he'll
out in
get
this
better.
video game, you dickweed? It cycles between a B and an A+ in almost every single aspect, from gameplay to visuals to art direction and so on. This is the hardest part about making a game, and yet is basically the most unimportant part of our whole conversation. Because if the game isn't good, it won't survive as a live service to begin with.
You sure about that? Again, I'm more used to the gotcha side when it comes to live service games, so I don't think it's about being good. I think it's about getting that addiction level player base. I'm not even talking about Genshin. There's a few games out there, man, that were absolute cancer, but they just kept getting money. I'm not going to name it because I don't want to bring attention to it. I refuse.
I know we can.
It's not FGO
joke
either. I
and
think the story's
laugh
great.
at the current live service games like League of
Gameplay's
Legends,
little,
Dead by
eh.
Daylight, and Apex, and do the usual smoking duck classic gif. You're telling me these are good games, Bricky? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I
At
can never get into it.
minimum, they provide entertainment.
League of Legends, right?
Maybe they're not good, but they're very entertaining. We just had a slew of games that were genuinely not good, and as much
Yeah, the Suicide Squad game, because they made a game with all these diverse characters and they all get to shoot guns, the same guns in the exact same way, and occasionally there's some differences, but really it's just cosmetic.
much as you might
Who'd have thought that'd be
hate what I
boring?
just said, there's a difference between these and these.
Skull and Bones came out? Oh yeah, because they were bilking, I think, one of the not Asian countries, Oceania countries, and then they had to eventually release the game because of contractual reasons, but they couldn't kill it because of also literally promising a country's sovereign wealth fund that they would make it. Yeah, that's the reason that this game exists. Anthem. That hurt. I was so excited for that because of the trailer, and then, whew, I never paid money for it because I played the demo and was like, wow, this sucks. And then I found out demo was the best part.
But Helldivers, good. I I know it's not a shocking opinion, but Helldivers is good. That's
Yes.
step one. Step two is creating a sandbox that allows for constant updates at a regular cadence. This is all a part of how you run your game and how you allow it to be sold. Creating a new SKU for a game's sales is something that
Stop
requires
keeping
a
it- Oh, that's what that means, really?
substantial amount of dev time.
I know it's kind of weird, but I literally never knew what a SKU number was because I've never heard someone break it down like that. As you can tell, I am not a business major. A business major will probably know that. I like keeping my sanity somewhat intact, is what I would say, except I was an English major, so that lies already out. There's no way no one believes that one.
SKU in this context is a method of being able to sell an item for a game. On our side, it looks like insert money get thing, but you do need to code that. You need to code that this armor is not allowed into anyone's inventory unless they go through the channels that allow you to purchase credits and then spend credits to unlock it.
Now, that's the one thing about coding I'm not really sure of. Would they pre-build the code to allow that, or do they have to custom code it every time? I guess maybe it would depend on the engine, because there probably is at least one where that would be an issue.
Helldivers has created a SKU that allows you to purchase primarily one thing, which are the new battle passes they call war bonds. What are the things you unlock in war bonds? Armor, weapons, cosmetics, more credits, and boosters. What can you not get with these new war bonds? Stratagems, ship upgrades, new maps, new enemies, and other major game related options. I don't think Arrowhead will ever attempt to sell these, but if they do, they will need to spend dev money to make a brand new SKU for it. So it does garner a bit of confidence that these are the main things they're looking to sell, and other parts of the game.
And that answers my question, because he's talking about SKUs for the individual items. If they're not building new SKUs, that means for every individual item they built in, it's based on a SKU code. So that would, yeah, there are already preset ways to interact with the game, and they fill into those slots. Okay.
Gameplay systems, stratagems, maps, enemies are not. But this all comes back to the sandbox of the game. Helldivers, in a crazy way, breaks one of the most important conventions in video game microtransaction law, which is you cannot sell items that give you any kind of statistical bonus in game. Even
that might be a, let's go with not entirely true fact. There's a lot of games. I've mentioned gacha games. Genshin, Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, FGO. I can keep going. Arknights. You get my point. Their entire concept of that style of game is you are explicitly paying for power. The difference being they're mostly PvE games. There are PvP games, and they are massively predatory because they basically say, hey, you can be as powerful as you want, but someone else might be more powerful because they have more money to put into it. Technically, one of those would be Diablo Immortal. You know, still shit.
And if the bonus isn't good, it should not be sold. A lot of games did this back in the day, remembering vividly Advanced Warfare, Mass Effect 3, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. The community, rightly, turned on these ideas pretty quickly, and now it's almost entirely cosmetic.
Which is not a bad change, but again, it's probably why the gacha game sphere is what a lot of these games are tracing now, or sorry, yeah, they're basically tracing the outline of, but not quite following through because they haven't figured out the entire idea of you build a character, the character is really awesome and the story is awesome, and then people will throw money at you as long as they're decently powerful. If they built up a character skin that was custom here that had one unique inbuilt easy press stratagem, this actually would probably sell immediately because right now there's no characters in here. Because the entire internal humor of the game would prevent it. But for a different game than Helldivers, that probably would work.
So why does Helldivers get away with this? The game is co-op PvE and not PvP, which is a massive difference when it comes to this concept. While this isn't an excuse, it does lessen the blow. But also,
I mostly agree with what he says, but then also I'm going to date myself and lose credit on this one. I remember the old school Destiny Year 1, not Destiny 2, Destiny, where it was, you have the Galahorn, you have the most powerful weapon, and you got it the one day it was in the shops, you could actually just buy it. No, get lost. So that could happen if one of the guns becomes so incredibly necessary in the paid shop that you start seeing that differentiation in the community. I think that's what really would set it apart. It can be good, it can be powerful, but if it's PvE and it's not needed levels of power, then it's much better. I think it's the need part that would really tip it over the edge.
So the sandbox in general makes it so that the difference in items feels like it really just doesn't matter too much. Nobody cares because nobody can tell the difference. You're fighting the bots. Whether you use a shotgun, assault rifle, sniper, or grenade launcher, it doesn't really matter because each bot has a specific weakness and the enemies are the same. Does the Eruptor in the brand new pass do a great job at killing Devastators? Yeah, but the enemy variety is so high that it will naturally be mediocre at some of the other enemies. In this
Oh, see, that's actually a pretty fascinating way to do it. The internal balance is that it isn't balanced intentionally. So it might be great, but it doesn't do great everywhere. You know what I mean?
this case, hulks and small bots. No gun is statistically better than other guns, with a few caveats, because no gun can handle every damn enemy. The game balance of Helldivers dictates this. A primary will not kill a
Even most support weapons won't.
Bile Titan, and even if it could,
oh, wow.
it probably won't kill the tiny hunters running you down as effectively. This is the exact same thing for the armor. In all honesty, the armor in Helldivers kind of sucks balls. The effects it gives you are normally very bad.
There's effects? Oh.
And so all that matters is the look and speed of it at the end of the day. Grenade's main issue is closing holes and destroying bot factories. So there isn't huge variety there either. And you can only use one booster at a time. The reason Helldivers gets away with all of this is because they aren't interesting or different enough to matter. In a way, I think this is one of my few problems with the game.
So it doesn't really matter what you're using. You just need a variety because it all kind of just is, hey, you got a switchblade. Now you need a knife. Now you need a fork. Theoretically, you can use a knife as a fork, but don't do that. Just don't. Ugh. Sorry, I just grossed myself out with a thought.
That actually works in their favor. Armor is samey and unimportant, and it almost feels like your primary weapons are too, because the game's sandbox and enemy variety makes it that way. If you entered a bot mission and you were told you are only going to fight the boss with the 2 sword arms, your primary would matter much, much more. And
but you're also going to get other things, and there'll be way more than just the one enemy type. Okay.
There would be clear winners, but the game isn't like that. So nothing is terrible, but nothing is really interesting either. They can sell in-game power because the real power comes from the stuff they don't sell. Which brings me to my final and most important point of this entire video and explanation. Helldivers 2 provides more content for those that don't pay than those that do pay. There is a phrase, I don't know if it has a name yet, but it's basically the concept of a player benefit and a player request. What do you add to the game that is purely for the player's benefit? And what do you add to the game that is you asking for the player's money? So long.
Oh, that's actually kind of fascinating, the way they're putting it up there. Don't know enough about Helldivers to say what that is off the bat, but it sounds like an interesting concept.
As A always overtakes B, you will keep your players very happy.
Let me rephrase. I want to hear that again.
So long as A
player
always
benefits more than
overtakes
the
B,
request.
you will keep your players very happy.
So it helps them more than they're not leaving them wanting, so they feel like they're getting enough already. And if they have things they still wish it could do, then it's not good enough. I see what he means. Okay.
Examples of player benefits in other games are releasing new characters, making changes to maps, adding brand new unlocks, new game modes, and so on. Player requests are adding new battle passes, new armor in the rotating shop, skins for your characters, anything that you upfront say, this is new content that you need to pay for. In the
Okay, so it's not what they want versus what they're getting. It's what they're getting versus what they could get. Okay.
Case of Helldivers, we need to ask, what have they asked of us? An initial price of $40, which should not go unstated, as that is a pretty hefty asking price for a live service game, as most attempt to be free or close to free. The rotating shop with armor sets that isn't too annoying, but present. Then there are currently 3 total war bonds, each individual battle pass that you play to unlock all the benefits, with a 4th one coming out very soon. What has Helldivers added in terms terms of pure player benefits, a constant stream of new maps and special effects and conditions on those maps, brand new game modes, such as the base defense one and the term aside, new stratagems on a consistent schedule, including the Quasar Cannon, Heavy Machine Gun, and Patriot Mech Suit, brand new ship upgrades for each of the individual categories, new...
Wait, that's not finished? Ooh. I don't know why for some reason I thought the ship upgrades would be like, okay, you've reached out and we'll move on to other stuff now. The fact that it hasn't is kind of fascinating.
Enemies to fight, including the bot gunships, flying bugs, and fabricator walkers, and this should not go unmentioned as well, an evolving game narrative and major order system, keeping the experience fresh by incentivizing new enemies and maps for players.
Oh yeah, because that's how they design the levels.
Helldivers is in the lead by a solid margin, entirely on player benefits.
Ooh, and then going back to the beginning, yeah. I see why he got annoyed with having to add that into the final product, because he's just singing the praises about how they got this right. And the worst part is, yeah, it kind of hurts more because this isn't Helldivers doing bad. It's Sony deciding they don't know what they're doing, so they're just going to enforce a rule because, we can get a little money off this without realizing that there's other bad shit going on. And the fact, I thought I heard they fixed this, though. Am I wrong? Maybe he'll have a little bit more at the end, although I don't think he did, considering that part was right at the beginning.
Another game adds player benefits. Stapled onto it are always player requests. Here's a brand new character and a brand new map for Overwatch 2, but here's a brand new battle pass you have to go through in
Okay, I will admit that actually looks really cool. If only it wasn't Overwatch.
order to get part of it. Also, don't forget about the massive store refresh and all the other egregious prices that go with it. Here is a brand new map and gun for your Apex Legends, as well as a massive battle pass store refresh, and if you don't have the points, you have to grind them out or buy the new legend with your money. Halo
just dropping in because I don't think he'll bring it up because I don't think he does the gotcha sphere, and honestly, good for him. It's a lot safer that way. A lot of the way that's narratively built in is that a lot of the ask and the request of the players is for buy the new character, at least in his terminology. But the way they make that more palatable is not just the power level, although that's a big thing, or the design, that's a big thing. But in a lot of the most successful cases, it's when the buy the new character is tied into you also believe it's a benefit to you to have the character in the game because the narrative built them up to the point where you absolutely need them. Not just because they're powerful, although that helps, and it's a detriment when they're not, but because they're amazing. I'm looking at you, freaking Firefly. I'm a Star Rail player. I am that level of degenerate. I will admit to that. They knew exactly which character would get everyone, and they built her up narratively over probably a couple months. And when she finally comes out as, hey, and here's the character that would normally be a request, but this time it's a benefit because you get to benefit by having her. It's insane how they're just taking the idea of what he's doing right here and flipping on its head because they're adding the one thing he's not talking about, narrative effects. Although he did mention it with how the game is evolving, but these are not narrative-focused games, especially Helldivers, because the internal humor of it would probably not work well with that. Maybe it would be kind of cool if they decided to tack it on, but I don't know how they could possibly do that. It would be funny if they figured it out, but I have no idea how. But that is one way to do it, just having the narrative change it from a request into a benefit, and it happens to cost you money. Not entirely what he meant, but entirely possible.
Halo has this particularly bad. I like playing Halo
I've never played
a lot
Infinite
right now.
I have no idea.
Logging in for 1 to 2 games of big team battle and logging off is just a great way to take it easy. But every time I log in, I see maybe a new map or two every few weeks. But goddamn, you're throwing these battle passes into my face every single time, and also telling me how sad it must feel that I didn't buy this armor in time, so it just stares at me saying unavailable, grayed out on my Spartan. Arrowhead have
Oh, that is dickish. So it's not even that you can't get it anymore. It's that they intentionally make sure you're aware you can't.
Added new content for players at a regular cadence, and they don't need to pay for it. They add new content that other games wish they could add at this speed.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a game add a new enemy? A completely
Are there giant
brand
lasers from
new
God
thing
shooting a
to
giant
fight
freaking metal
just
camel?
for the hell of it. When Mass Effect 3 added the Collector's faction in the multiplayer, it was fucking wild. And it was also way too hard. Holy shit, Praetorians. Please stop. Plus, you can earn super credits in game. Is it a lot of credits? Not really, but it definitely softens the blow. See, I'm a full supporter of Arrowhead. I've bought all their war bonds and some of their rotating armor. I have no issues putting my money into this game because it's just that good. But if I was a $40 and done player, I can see how fun this game would continue to be. Not having to spend any money to get the new stratagems, new upgrades, new enemies to fight. And if they play well enough, they might get enough credits to get a new war bond to continue the progression. And if they don't, it just might tempt them. Enough super credits to make that $10 purchase a $5 purchase. And at that point, I can see where temptation can take hold.
And even then, when you look at the pricing there, it's not horrible by comparison to gacha games or EA, because you know how that usually goes. Right now they're good, but I'm assuming eventually that comment I just said will be accurate again. It will be. Give it time.
You can make more money treating your players like players, and Goodwill sells. This is especially true when it comes down to the recent debacle we already discussed involving the PSN account for
Okay, so we're getting to it here. I guess this is where the Goodwill comes to play, but how much of his script did he have to drop just to get this part in? Because this is probably where he goes dark, and he's been talking up all the good points, and I'm happy with that, but also we knew this was coming.
Helldivers 2. Now, Sony might just be extremely excited to
The heck is this from? Oh, it's Flash Kits? Never mind, that makes perfect sense.
To ruin my scripts not once, but in fact twice in the exact same video, both adding and then finally pulling this PSN requirement. But when it comes to the topic of Goodwill, sometimes the player requests don't always need to be monetary. In our situation here, we as players were able to finally pull one over from Sony and get them to remove their terrible decision. Had they not removed this decision, Helldivers 2 Goodwill would have been in the absolute dumpster. However, even after going back on their idea, there is still a tentative fear surrounding this game. The fact that this was even a consideration has ruined the goodwill for a large amount of players despite it not going through, and despite all of the goodwill that has been provided through the consistent and free updates for the game. Just
because they created a system, showed that the game could work perfectly without the account, and that Sony's just needlessly being dicks because they're just trying to get a little more money out of it because they can. It's their platform. They invested in the game. They can make the rules. Yeah. It's legal. Doesn't mean it's not dickish or ultimately going to shoot them in the dick. I say ultimately, though, because I don't think in the short term it's going to hurt them. Because someone will go for it and they'll get the money by linking it up and being able to just take that little percentage more.
Because you're not asking me to pay anything doesn't mean I need to be happy with what's going on. So while I'm particularly bitter due to the fact that my script has had to be rewritten 3 times because of this whole thing.
3? Ooh. Oh yeah, no, I'm with him on that one. Rewrites are a bitch.
I am happy that we as a group won out in the end, but I have a bit more
Report
of a
any suspicious activity
eye going forward.
I mean, it is Sony.
You spend your goodwill is an art, and I think Sony might be gambling it a bit too frivolously.
And the thing is, from what I heard about at least the first time they fucked up, he said twice, and the third time he had to rewrite, so it wasn't even that they knew they were fucking around. It's that they almost didn't seem to realize they had let it get through. To the point where it's like, hey, anyone can play this, made it awesome and popular. And they didn't realize, and by the time they caught on, it's like, we should probably do this. It almost seems like they were completely ignorant to what decision they were actually making. And it was only the backlash that even made them aware that it was a backlash. I just don't know if that's because the decisions are being made at the Japanese office or if it's a company-wide thing internationally. A lot of Japanese game companies have myopia when it comes to games outside of Japan. The same is also true for the Chinese market, but that's mostly due to the vast majority of the money coming from those countries because there's a much more dedicated, obsessive level fan base there who will throw money at games in ways that even non-monetized games would find obscene. So you don't usually see that in global releases because it doesn't usually go to the, oh God, you took out how many loans for this levels of income. That's not a joke. It's actually disturbing. You can find stories of it happening. It's really fucked up.
As of late. I do love the game a lot, but like I mentioned earlier, the sandbox makes it so that the armor and weapons, the main parts of the game's war bonds, are not different enough to be interesting. I know mentioning Destiny in a live service good video is,
I mean, you always need a counterpoint.
Basically blasphemy, but I'm genuinely shocked armor color shaders aren't a thing that's being sold. A lot of it looks so same.
I mean, didn't they for a while? I'm pretty sure they did actually sell those. So, did they stop? That's nice. Let me believe they did something good for once, please. I played Destiny for years. It hurt hearing how bad it got.
And get like a black and red edgelord look would make me care a lot more about what I wear. I love my Michelin Man armor. It's my favorite armor in the game. And
you
I
want to make it white and
want
puffy?
to shade it white so I can roleplay as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought.
I think eventually
what the heck was that?
Will realize all the war bond stuff doesn't really matter, and they'll need to pivot, not to selling other items, but rather just selling better ones. Getting a bit more creative with it. It's not as fun getting another assault rifle, but if you gave me dual akimbo P90s Modern Warfare 2 style, I'd buy that. If any,
you know what? Actually, maybe that would be a good reason to bring in heroes. People who individually play differently than the standard character. It would really break the narrative in an obscene way because you can even have it so that every character has a different slight build, slight voice difference, showing the internal humor of the game is, yeah, you don't matter. All the extra lives are just other bodies being thrown in. That's why they refer to you as Helldiver, because you're literally just one of many that they will throw at a problem. And if you die, who cares? There's more. That's the internal humor of it. You don't actually have a character. You have an army that you happen to control one at a time.
anything, they need to go harder with it. Get some silly banners in the background. Make it like the Black Ops 1 15th Prestige animated calling card level of stuff. If you want me to be excited about a victory pose, make it fun or funny. Make me jump for joy and then just fucking explode into a shower of gore like in Crab Game. 2, 1, go. 2, 1.
What? And he blew up it. Okay, he actually blows up.
Until that point, however, what Helldivers breaks in terms of general microtransaction law with their selling of in-game stuff, they make up for with a whole bunch of player benefits as opposed to player withdrawals. If you ask yourself, does my experience significantly get better if I spend money on this game compared to not? And if the answer is only a little bit, then they're doing a fantastic job. I hope other games follow in their footsteps in the future. What we have here is so special and unique, but also respects us to such a degree that if there is any game that could use a copycat, it should be this one. This is a great example of the exception to prove the rule. How the live service rush can be done right if it puts players first. Lots of AAA companies right now with their investor first mindsets can't and won't do. Another score.
I see this is definitely part of the original script. Yeah.
For the independently published company. When you don't have a boardroom of investors breathing down your neck, you're able to make better decisions. As the biggest Mass Effect 3 sympathizer in the world.
Really? I've never seen his videos on Mass Effect 3. I didn't actually know that. But also my entire initial experience to Mass Effect was Mass Effect 3. Yeah, I started in the wrong location. It made absolutely no sense to me. And I eventually replayed it after playing 2 again because 1 still wasn't out on the system I had. It was fun. They fixed the goddamn elevators. That was better. It had issues like the ending, but it was not horrible. Never played the PvP, and I'm okay with saying it that way.
World. I must say, despite how terrible its monetization was, what with the day one Javik DLC and the loot boxes and the multiplayer giving you only a percentage chance to unlock new stuff, etc., I will say every single multiplayer DLC in that game was free. They had a
Okay, 1, multiplayer was free, dude. 2, yeah, can you imagine getting a pack of like 10 things and only a small chance that anything is going to be good? Yeah, I know. No one here has that understanding. I have no idea what that would be like. No joke. I'm just personally flagelating myself at this point. It's a form of masochism, apparently. Wow, Bricky, you're just doing me dirty this video.
new maps for free, new weapons for free, new characters for free, new modes for free, new enemies for free, new difficulties for free. Did you need to unlock some of these by buying packs? Absolutely. Was it only a chance to get the new thing? Also yes, but you could earn packs relatively quickly, and the grind wasn't the worst thing I've ever experienced. So long as you played semi-regularly, the player benefits outweighed the player requests for the most part. I obviously have my major issues with loot boxes and the gambling issues that come with it, but the multiplayer was that good, and it was because we got more than we asked for.
Huh. Didn't realize it was such good
Few
multiplayer.
asterisks. So I
What
say
are the asterisks?
good on you, Arrowhead. You've done what feels like the impossible, and you've done so without
Reminder, recorded pre-Sony cringe. Yeah, and the worst part is, it's still not Arrowhead's fault. It just sucks that Sony decided to Sony all over the place. You can even say they're bricked up.
I am a little nervous.
I'm
for
not
the
going to correct
future.
myself.
I don't exactly
For
know what to
no
expect
reason.
from all of that, but I will most likely be here regardless because the game is just that fun. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I did something a little different with this style. I wanted to combine a little bit of the me and a little bit of the not me, mix a little bit
not
of
me?
voiceover and actual
Oh,
in-person
that part.
stuff.
Okay.
Let me know what you
Is that
think
how
about
most
it.
of his
If you'd like
videos
to
work?
buy some of the merchandise, you can go to brickymerch.com. Get
He has
yourself
it
some
everywhere.
bricked up stuff, crew necks, as well as tri-blend shirts and lots of other awesome items. Check it all out
does
in the
know,
description.
right?
I show my merch all the time because I genuinely think it's really, really good, and
It
I'm
looks
very
nice,
proud
yeah.
of it. Mass Effect is next. I'll see you then.
Oh, he is.
Obviously, you're a skater.
You know, there's a lot of things I could say about this, but I need to just take a second to appreciate how Bricky was standing tall on this and making a hard point about the erection that he is making sure everyone is very aware of right now, because it takes a man to stand out there and penis joke, to just wear that shirt out there without apparently realizing exactly what he is advertising. There are probably fangirls out there and some in V Shoujo who are just seeing this going, I'm gonna tell him. I'm lying. They were definitely going to tell him. And I can't wait to see the clip of that later, because that is going to be amazing. If they haven't already, in which case I need links. Also, the video itself was, it's just the reason I'm focusing on this as opposed to the rest of this. He lets us know right off the bat that shit happened. And then he transitions to the original script, which was just, this is good. And then just that little bit of reminder at the end of, except it's bad. And he even has that little moment like, I'm used to thinking corporations are out to get me. Followed by before and after that, a corporation fucked it up because they were out to get your wallet. Yeah, that's the thing. This video hurts me in ways that I was unfortunately not surprised about. I heard about this drama. I thought it was resolved. I also heard it was unresolved, but I don't know the details. I'm making a point not to look it up in case that's true. So if someone lied to me and tell me I'm wrong, because if there's one thing I believe, it's that Sony will Sony. And you could even say, as hard as Bricky's going at this, eventually something, well, flaccid, and we're not going to talk about that because that requires a pill. And if it lasts more than 4 hours, I think you get the point already. Yes, I am making a penis joke. He is wearing a penis shirt. There, I said it. I'm sure no one got that. Also, he is actually wearing a shirt that is slang for aspects. So yeah. I am impressed and terrified in equal measure. I kind of want to get it just because how horrible it is. And then I'll definitely never say anything about how I definitely know what it is and completely, utterly, 100% pretend I have no idea because I'm an ass. I just find that funny. You guys know the deal, though. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up, and I guess we'll get bricked up together later by watching more Bricky. I still can't believe that's actually his freaking shirt. Oh my god, man.